Hello, Cruising World, Mick the Suit Guy with you. It's Monday, and it is time for part 2 of Sean's Transatlantic Pros and Cons. Last week we did the pros. This week we are doing the cons. So we had a couple of issues on the. Let me just recap a couple of the pros. Cheaper. I'll read them as Sean wrote them. Cheaper cruise price. Many relaxing sea days to read. Guest lecturers. Journey cruise. Extras. Special events. Avoid jet lag when you get to your destination by changing the clocks by 1 hour throughout the cruise. Takes you to new ports, less frequently visited ports. Encourages visiting European/African countries. Allows us to visit family, grandchild in Europe before heading home. Meet a lot of new friends on board. More time, meals to interact with fellow passengers and crew. Crew are happier, unique itinerary, different ports, going home after trip if ship is going into dry dock, or they will be doing a different job on the ship during dry dock. One said she would be on fire watch near the welders and using a water spray bottle to spray on stray sparks. If the ship is coming out of dry dock, it will be clean and updated with new features. And lastly, usually your fellow cruisers are more seasoned, so less drama on board. So my comments on that, watch last week's video. I'm not going to go over that again. So let's go on to the cons. So we had 12 pros, we have 6 cons. Number 1, longer cruise a problem if not having fun. Hate your cabin mates, hate the ship, get sick, work gets in the way, or rough seas. That's very true. We did a Trans-Pacific, as I mentioned in last week's video, and I was shocked to see how many blue cards there were. And we had some issues on that cruise, and at one point we had 11 straight sea days, and they were not used to that. They weren't ready for that. We stopped in Hawaii. We basically went from Manila in the Philippines to Honolulu, Hawaii, 11 straight sea days. And when we got there, about 250 people got off the ship and didn't get back on. So so a lot of sea days is not everybody's thing. I would definitely recommend if you're a blue card and not to start with a 25-day cruise as they did. But what can you say? Hate your cabin mates. I think that's more you'll love them on day 1. You'll probably love them on day 2. But day 3, it might start to wane. Day 4, day 5. So if you are going with somebody that's not your spouse or whatever, relative or whatever, if it's a friend, make sure they're a very good friend. That definitely can happen. Make sure you know their habits, and their bad habits especially. Because there's nothing worse than being in a cabin with somebody that doesn't treat the cabin the way you'd want to treat the cabin, or disrespects or stuff like that. So that can definitely happen. So be aware if you're going on a longer cruise that you're very, very good friends with the person you're. Don't just cruise with somebody for the sake of it to save yourself some money. If you hate the ship, do your research on the ship before you go. I said last week, I don't think I would like to do a transatlantic or any long cruise on an older ship because there's less to do. Having said that, I'm going on Luminosa next year from San Francisco to Japan, so we'll find out if I like it or not. But I typically like to do on the newer ships that have more stuff to do. But if you get sick, I'm lucky I don't get sick. Shouldn't say that. But the stabilizers on these ships today, they're very steady in the sea. Be interesting, in 27, I'm going on a celebrity cruise from Argentina to the Falklands and Antarctica, and we are crossing the Drake Passage, which is famous for very rough seas, like 40-foot swells and waves and stuff. So we'll see how I get on there. But I never really get seasick on these ones. Work gets in the way. What I would do, well, we're working every day, obviously, both Julie and I, when we do these cruises. So I would recommend that you assign yourself a couple of hours a day to do work. Put your out of office on, let people know you'll be checking it every day, maybe in the morning before the day gets going, and that way you can pretty much keep up. So set expectations for people that might be contacting you. The rough seas goes in with the get sick, I would think. But yeah, that doesn't bother me, but it can bother other people. So do your research on the ship. Make sure you're very good friends with your cabin mate. Get sick, I can't really help you with that one. You do or you don't. And there's nothing worse than seasickness, but I don't think it's too bad on the bigger ships. And set yourself time for work. That would be my suggestion. All right, that's number 1. Whew, that was a long one. Number 2, longer flight to or from the embarkation/disembarkation port. Hang on, there's 8. He did 1, 2, then went back to 1 again. Yes, that is very true, and definitely don't fly in the day of the cruise if you're going on one of these. Obviously on the way out if you're going from Miami, but I'm talking if you're joining it in Europe to come back, for example, or just doing a European cruise, absolutely give yourself at least 1 day before. Hopefully you can do 2 or 3 days before and get to explore that new country. If you are cruising out of England, like Dover or Southampton, don't go to Dover and straight to Southampton. Go to London first, if you haven't been especially. Have some time in London and then make your way down. It's about 2 hours to each, so they're just south of London. But, do your research. Email me. I know Europe pretty well for suggestions, but definitely on your flights, do that. It is funny because we were talking about this. So we are doing a trip on Celebrity next year, and we are going from Bali to Mumbai. It's a 24 days. It's back to back on Celebrity. So we wanted to treat ourselves to an upgraded flight, and we were like, should we do it on the way out or should we do it on the way back? And at first I was like, let's do it on the way back because then we're tired, whatever. But then I thought, no, we should do it on the way back so we can just relax and chill, because on the way out you're excited. So we just did regular economy on the way out and we upgraded on the way back. Food for thought. What do you think? Put it in the comments. Yeah, but definitely do that. And yeah. The problem is, when do you book that flight as well? Because it's not like other things. Once you book the flight, the price is set. You can't cancel and redo it like you can the actual cruise price. So when do you book the flight is another issue. If you're going on a new ship, like we were going on the Jubilee and they cancelled it or they delayed it, and loads of people have bought flights, lost all the money. Non-refundable. Carnival said they would help, and then when they realized how many people actually booked flights, they suddenly changed it. So if you are going on a new ship, I would leave the flight until you absolutely 100% know that that's going to happen, it's going to be ready on time. But other than that, just give yourself time. All right, number 1, which is number 3, ship's internet may not work well all the time, so working on the ship may not be an option. And that's a valid point, depending on where you are. But hopefully with Starlink these days, it's much better. But be prepared for that to happen. It might interrupt your day. A lot of people don't want to work. They just switch off. They go unplugged for the whole time. We can't. A lot of people can't. So, yeah, be prepared for that. It may happen. It may happen. And that's not really anything to do with the ship. It's to do with the actual satellite, I would imagine, on where you are. Because while this Starlink is going up, I don't think they're fully up and ready yet. So, yeah, I'll leave that as not much else I can say on that one. Number 2, longer time away from pets, family. The family part might belong in the pro list above. Ha ha! Good point. But the pets, nah. Yeah, we have an issue with that because we've got the 2 cats and they're older now and it's getting more difficult, asking people to watch them when we're gone. Cats are much easier than dogs. Dogs you can board, but then there's the cost of boarding them. With the cats, we just have somebody come over every couple of days and feed them and change the litter. But, we travel a lot, so it's a lot to ask people all the time. So, yeah, that is an issue. Do you miss the pets? Cats don't care. We come home, they don't care. They look at us, and then they carry on. They feed me, and then be back to normal. Dogs a little bit different emotionally, and family, yeah. If I had another 7 hours, I could tell you why I don't like many people in my family. Some I do, but very, very few. So I would not miss family, that's for sure. And the funny thing is, you got friends that live locally, right? I left San Diego a couple of years ago, and I went back recently for the first time in a couple of years, and I saw some people I hadn't seen, and I said, "Oh, have you seen such and such?" They haven't seen them in a year, right? So is a week or two that much time? Do you really see your friends all the time? They probably don't even know you were gone half the time. Number 5, which is number 3. You 1, 2, 1, 2. If ship is coming out of dry dock, the first cruise might be rescheduled. If work is delayed, sometimes newly installed features aren't working properly. And as I said just now, the same thing will go for a brand new ship. So be prepared for that to potentially happen. I don't think that I've seen many dry docks be delayed. I think they're usually on time. It's more the new ships that can be delayed. In my experience, if you've seen if you've had that happen to you, one come out a dry dock be delayed, put it in the comments. I don't think I've ever heard of that happen. I'm not saying it didn't. And the newly installed features not working properly is definitely true. And I think you'll find on some of the newer ships, even the Jubilee, when they finally got it, and it was supposed to come out like in October, and it ended up being December, and they didn't do a transatlantic. It went straight to Texas. They rushed that. When we went on the first Virgin cruise, half the cabins weren't ready. They closed that section off. They weren't ready. So they will rush things to get them on time because it will cost them too much money to cancel. So yes, I think you've got more chance of newly installed features not working properly than the ship being delayed, unless it's a brand new ship. But that's just my opinion. You know what opinions are. Number 6. Ship is more apt to run out of some supplies by the end, brackets, red stripe, exclamation mark, close brackets. Yes, that's what happened on Panorama on that 25-day when we didn't stop in, we were supposed to stop in Guam and restock, and for whatever reason we didn't. So we kept going. And we ran out of red stripe, nothing else, because I was the only one drinking. Leave that one there, yeah. But by the time we got to Honolulu, they were out of lemons and fruit for the alchemy bar. There was so much stuff they were out of, and people were going down to the buffet in the morning and just taking plates and plates and plates of fruit. So after half an hour, it was all gone. They had to ration it each day, and certain people were just going up and taking it all. So it wasn't so much a case of the ship running out. It was a case of people taking more than they should have, because the ship had to budget, as it were, what they could put out. Number 5, can't always watch favorite TV or sports while on the cruise. Well, that's really nothing to do with that's to do with any ship, I would imagine, because they only have the one channel. I think it's ESPN Sports. So if it's not on ESPN, you're not going to be able to get it. However, you can stream some services on the Wi-Fi if it's working. I know I shouldn't be saying this, but we recently went on the Jubilee for Super Bowl. And then we actually had the presidential suite for Julia's 50th. We took a bunch of us went. We went out on the patio, and I was able to get into Fubo. And then we were able to watch with proper commercials, not the cricket. So yes, you can probably, there are certain, I think you can get into Netflix, but try your streaming service, your login. It might work. You'll have to get the premium Wi-Fi, which is a bit more expensive, but it might work. But yeah, I think on any cruise, your TV and sports is going to be an issue, unless you can tap into those streaming services. And the last one, yes, can lose more money in the casino. Very small chance of winning more money. The more you play, the more you lose in general. This is why they have casinos, Sean. It will always make me laugh when people would be bragging. And I remember when we were going to do that Jubilee cruise, and it was going to be like a 17-day cruise, whatever it was. I forget the number of days. Anyway, people, I got this great offer. I got like a $100 cabin or whatever, and I'll be like, okay. Before we get to the last tip, once again, I got this new camera. It's a Sony. The batteries are terrible. They don't last half an hour on each battery, and the number of times it just cuts on me in the middle of one of these videos. Don't buy a Sony. Rubbish batteries. So hopefully the edit wasn't too bad, but we're going to go back to the last one, which is can lose more money in the casino. Very small chance of winning more money. The more you play, the more you lose in general, which is very, very true. I do remember laughing at some people's comments when they're going on these long cruises about how they get these amazingly cheap offers, like $100 or whatever, plus the port fees and gratuities and et cetera, but they're bragging about how cheap their cruise is, and I would love to see their bill at the end of the cruise as opposed to before. One of my favorite cruise directors, Andy Entertainment, I think he's a brilliant cruise director. Him and Joey, to me, are the best two in the fleet. Everybody's opinions. But Andy would do this thing a lot during the cruise. He goes, who's been in the casino? Hey, who's been winning? Hands go down. Maybe a couple of claps and cheers. There's a reason they have casinos on board. They're very profitable because there's a thing called the house edge. And there's also a thing called the people not playing properly. I've been actually studying blackjack because I want to try and play a bit more blackjack to play it properly. And I've got the card, and I don't want to use it. We were on a cruise, and there's a gentleman there, and Every hand he took the card out and checked it, and it was driving everybody crazy, and we all just left the table because it was ruining the flow. But at the end of that cruise, I saw him cash out thousands of dollars. I've been watching his videos. Did you know, and if you're a blackjack player, you'll probably disagree with me, but I'm going by the numbers here. If you have a 12 and the dealer's showing 3, you should hit. It's something like 35% chance of winning that hand over 25%. If you have a 15 or 16, you should always hit, unless they offer surrender, which means you can take half the money, because you're very rarely going to win those hands. If you have a soft 18, you should double if the dealer has a 2 through 6. You should stay if they have a 7 or an 8, and you should hit if they have a 9 through an ace. I'm learning all this stuff, so we're going to put it into play on the next cruise and play it properly. But some people don't think, especially that 12, they don't think that's playing properly, but the odds are there. So there's going to be the know-it-all that tells me I'm doing it wrong. I'm not. Oh, God, do I waffle. Subscribe to this wonderful channel as I hear my cat screaming outside to come in because she wants attention. If you have any questions, my email is coming up. Please send me your tips. I would love to get your tips. Send me your pros and cons of your most recent cruise. Next week, I'll be doing my pros and cons from my recent Panorama cruise. So look out for that. And that's about it, really. Thank you, Sean. Keep them coming. I really, there's only some. I've never done a transatlantic cruise, so it's hard for me to comment too much on these tips, but they're wonderful. And send me yours. With that, I will see you later, Cruising World. Well, thanks for watching. Don't forget, subscribe, hit that bell, and you'll get notifications when new videos come out. And don't forget, click on the links to the left and right of me. You can watch playlists, new video suggestions, and more. Any questions? Email me, cruisingsuitguy@gmail.com. And don't forget, I'm a travel agent. Email for help.